seats in the National Assembly. From my reading of the standing order, it allows a party or a coalition of parties that is not the minority or majority party to designate their leader, whip, and deputy whip upon recognition as a parliamentary party. Whereas the standing order notes that the whips of such party are appointed for purposes of the transaction of the business of the House, it is strikingly silent on the purpose to be served by having such a leader in the House. At the moment, I'm of the considered view that apart from creating unnecessary confusion, allowing the existence of a leader other than the leader of the majority party, or the leader of the minority party would be an affront to the constitutional underpinning and recognition of the majority party and the minority party. Honorable members who served in this House before the promulgation of the current constitution and who are well versed with the parliamentary traditions bear testament to the fact that a party that is not the majority or minority party in a presidential system, or which is not in government or the official opposition in a parliamentary system, is normally afforded minimal facilitation by the House. At most, such a party is only entitled to a whip. Honorable members, before making my determination on this matter, I would like to draw the attention of the House to a press statement that was recently issued by the minority leader in company of his deputy on this subject. I shall not reproduce the contents of the statement made by the member for Gunja, issued after the sitting of the House on Thursday last week because of their unpalatable nature. I will only note that it is unfortunate and highly regrettable that the leader of the minority party chose to publicly cast aspersions on valid parliamentary processes, even after he and his deputy had separately visited my chambers and held a very cordial discussion with me on this pertinent matter. Honorable members, the distinguished members ought to have known that unlike the previous court orders in this matter, which would be validated through the e-filing system, the order for dismissal was manually extracted and served on the Speaker by the leader of the minority party. From our own records, there also existed doubt on whether the House was represented by counsel at the time the ruling was delivered. The leader of the minority party may have been unaware that I was only formally briefed on the developments of this matter on Thursday, 19th October 2023, upon verification of the status of the matter. It is incumbent upon me as your Speaker to ensure that any adverse actions I take are valid, justified, and lawful, and in this respect I am enjoined to satisfy myself with regard to the authenticity of any information that I convey to this House. Honorable members, I expect the leadership of the House to conduct themselves with decorum and respect for the high office that they have been entrusted with. In this regard, the conduct and statements attributed to the leader of the minority party, including the wild aspersions cast on the person of the Speaker, leave a lot to be desired and are a stain on the privilege and prestige of the institution of Parliament. The Speaker takes a very dim view of this kind of unproductive and unhelpful conduct. Honorable members, going back to the matter at hand, you will recall that my predecessor, Speaker Kenneth Marende, was faced with a similar situation in April 2009 during the 10th Parliament. At the time, President Kibaki had appointed his Vice President as the leader of government business in this House, which prompted the then Prime Minister to write a letter to the Speaker appointing himself to the same position. This resulted in an impasse that threatened to paralyze parliamentary business. In his ruling, honorable members, Speaker Marende broke the deadlock by adopting an interim measure that resulted in the chair of the House Business Committee being occupied by the Speaker. Additionally, the Speaker tasked the joint government chief whips to run the affairs of the government in the House and threw the ball back to the President and the then Prime Minister to solve the impasse. Honorable members, the Speaker will not shy away from the reality that two factions of the Jubilee Party are tearing each other apart and are unfairly dragging the Speaker into their wars of supremacy. However, to the extent that both factions collectively and separately have a stake in the conduct of parliamentary business, I'm inclined to exercise the powers conferred upon me by Standing Order Number 1 to facilitate the continuity of the business of the House until such a time as the competent authorities make a final determination with regard to the disputes relating to the affairs of the Jubilee Party. In summary, honorable members, I guide the House as follows: that there currently exists no bar against the decision made by the minority party to replace its deputy whip. Standing Order 20A5 requires the Speaker to convey a decision to replace a whip to the House. In this regard, the Honorable makwiny MP forthwith replaces Sabina Chege MP as the deputy whip of the minority party. That to give effect to the provisions of Article 36 of the Constitution on freedom of association and Article 38 of the Constitution on political rights, which confer upon each member of the House the right to determine which entities they wish to be associated with and right to make political choices. Order. The Jubilee Party is hereby recognized as a parliamentary party within the meaning of Standing Order 20A. This recognition does not in any way elevate it to or affect the status given to the majority party and the minority party by the Constitution and the standing orders. That consequently, the Honorable Sabina Chege, by virtue of the written support of 21 members out of 28 members of the Jubilee Party in the House, in the letter dated 13th June 2023, and on account of her having been the last officially recognized member of the Jubilee Party, forming part of the leadership, is allowed to perform in the interim the role of the whip of that party in the House. That the foregoing guidance is issued in the interim purely for purposes of facilitating the continuation of the business of the House until such time as the Speaker will be properly seized of the final determination of the matters relating to the Jubilee Party by the competent authorities. The House is accordingly guided. Next order.
Order number 8, the National Youth Council Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 1 of 2023, second reading. Question to be put.
Order. Order. Honorable Andai. Order. Order, honorable members. The House is still in session. Order. Order, honorable members. Take your seats. Or those who want to recess from the House.